Oh, we're joined now by our new colleague, the quarterback guru, George Whitfield, has worked with Manziel the last couple of off seasons, and you spent, what, about 3 hours, you said, with Manziel yesterday on the eve of this big game. All right. Where is his head, George, for this game? I mean, Alabama's taken this very personally. How's Manziel going to respond?
You're right. I was with him yesterday. We went through the walkthrough, and then I got a chance to just kind of hang and walk with him a little bit before the team bus. I would put him at a 5 emotionally. He's at a 5, and that's from a quarterback perspective. That's where you want to be for this. Any big surgeon going into any big operation, you want to roll at a 5. Any fighter pilot wants to stay at a 5. Hopefully, we can stay there, but that's where he is right now.
The challenge is staying there when Alabama hits him in the mouth.
I think he was at about a 12 when he played in that first game against Rice. He had so much energy, and it's going to be interesting to see the ebb and flow of this game, to see how his mindset is it able to maintain that attitude, George, because I don't know if anybody's had to deal with as much scrutiny as he's had to deal with, and almost a I'll show you kind of attitude. I'm anxious to see how he's able to overcome that and stay chilled for 4 quarters.
What have you seen Manziel work on that's going to come into play when Alabama makes all the adjustments? Because against top 10 defenses last year, Florida and LSU and Alabama, the stats got a lot worse for Manziel after those impressive first quarters. Teams began to deal with him. What is he going to do to counter that?
Well, he basically did a self-scout. Like a lot of prolific offenses, when they come in and they hit the scene and they have tremendous success, he did a self-scout. He spent the spring with Coach Spavital and Coach Sumlin working from within the pocket, trying to be very, very progressive on all his reads. And then he and I spent time both in San Diego and down here in College Station this summer working from within the pocket, working the drive, the throwing, the mechanics, generating power. He understands that that's what teams are going to try to do to balance him out. And if people say Coach Saban had 12 months to figure out this equation, it's Johnny's job, it's Coach Sumlin's job to make that algorithm a little tougher. And that's what they went and did.
If you go back and look at last year's game, whether Alabama played zone or if they brought pressure, a big factor, kind of the kryptonite to Nick Saban and his scheme, is Johnny Manziel and his creativity. Here's a 3rd and 9 early in this game, and this is what they're trying to avoid this week. Adrian Hubbard getting so far upfield, rushing 4, and look at the seam that he allows Johnny to be able to step up into, create on 3rd and 9, and eventually find the first down. Nick Saban can't account for that. Here's 3rd and 5. Here they do a better job. See, they're not getting upfield. They're not giving him those lanes. They're containing him in the pocket. He has nowhere to go to the outside. He has nowhere to go to step up. And they're trying to keep him contained to see if he can make a play from that pocket. They had good coverage downfield. C.J. Mosley, you just saw the Bald Man's nice story about Mosley. Here they're spying with him. Keep him contained. Don't let him get to the outside. And then you have Mosley and company in the middle to clean it up if he doesn't have anywhere to go. What this is going to force Johnny Manziel to do, if Alabama has success with this, is do what George has been working with and his coaches have been working with, is show people how much he's developed as a passer. I think we all agree, anybody who's watched him throw in the last 8 months, he's improved drastically in this area. I wonder how his receivers have improved. He's lost 4 of his top 5 wide receivers from last year. How will that group against Nick Saban and Kirby Smart, how will they adjust their routes? How will they be able to be in sync with Johnny Manziel? Johnny's going to play well, but I'm worried about the guys around him.
Swope was the guy last year. He was the outlet. He was the comfort zone. We were talking, and Manziel admits it. He was a bit freaked out last year playing Florida and LSU. When a freshman gets out there and you see those monsters on defense, by the time he got to Alabama, not so freaked out. He's only had, what, 5 quarters to play to get ready for this time?
5 quarters, and that's not a whole lot of time. But the opportunity comes when the opportunity comes, and I just had a chance to talk with Kurt just off camera, and his biggest, I'd say, comfort or fortifying element is that he's done this last year. And now not all these guys have, but the key players here have just done this last year on the road when not expected. So when you go out and see this bully a second time, you have that right here to say, hey, we've knocked this guy out before.
And Mike Evans, to me, is the key. If if A&M wins, 13 for Texas A&M is going to have one of those days.
A playmaking day.
Yeah.
You also work with the Hokies quarterback, Logan Thomas, who's a buddy of Johnny's. I hope he didn't call up Logan and say, how was that Alabama defense? Because they made it was horrific. He had one of the worst quarterback ratings you could ever imagine that opening game against Alabama defense.
Yeah.
George, thanks. Good stuff.
Thanks,
good.
man.
It's fun to watch games with this guy as he gets to see all the guys that he's worked with, go out there and try to apply their lessons. And Manziel needs to do that today.